Member for North Island.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the Minister of Transportation. New figures show the number of ferry users has dropped to the lowest point in a quarter of a century. In the real world, people know this is due to increased fares, but the government has done nothing to fix the situation except to come up with some excuses. In 2008, they blamed the cost of gas, the economy, fewer tourists and severe weather. In 2009, they blamed unemployment, fuel prices and significant weather. In 2010, they blamed the economy. In 2011, it was fuel prices and tourism again. In 2012, they did give up the excuses and reported, and I quote, the lowest passenger traffic in 21 years. But they were back at it in 2013 when they blamed an extraordinary period of stormy weather. Last year, they listed storms, the economy, fuel prices, new laws on passports, an ageing population, improvements in communications, and the timing of Easter. Madam Speaker, when is the government going to stop making excuses and acknowledge that rising fares are to blame?
Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and I always appreciate questions from the member. I will reiterate yet again, this government is committed to doing everything that we possibly can to drive down fares at BC Ferries, to make ferries more affordable than it is today. We have acknowledged that fares cannot continue to escalate as they have, but we've acknowledged that several times. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to ensure that the ferry system is also sustainable for generations to come. And Honourable Speaker, that is why this government has invested a record $180 million in BC Ferries over the last fiscal year. That is why this government is pursuing a wide range of initiatives with BC Ferries, like conversion to LNG, which on 5 vessels will save $12 million for $12 million per year for 27 years. It's why this government is considering a fixed link to Gabriola Island. It's why this government is considering a cable ferry to Denman Island, which will save $2 million a year. Honourable Speaker, it's that creativity, that ingenuity, and the collaboration between BC Ferries, the Ferry Commissioner, and this government that is going to achieve the goal of affordability and sustainability at BC Ferries long term.
Member for North Island.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, respected studies have unanimously endorsed by local governments in BC have shown that if the increase in fares, as was promised by the BC Liberals, match the rate of inflation, so accept that fares will go up, but just by the rate of inflation, the number of passengers would have grown, Madam Speaker, by 19%. And it's not just families that we're talking about, it's not just communities we're talking about, we're talking about a hit to the provincial economy of more than $2.3 billion. When the government did reduce fares very briefly in 2011, ridership went up. It's a simple correlation. Cut the fares and more people will travel, which will in the end boost the bottom line for BC Ferries. So does the Minister have any real plan for bringing down fares, for stopping April's 4% fare increase, and realistically bringing down the fares for the businesses and communities and individuals that use our ferries?
Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Honourable Speaker, we've been very clear about our strategy at BC Ferries. I just articulated the highlights of that a moment ago. But let's look back and consider the strategy of the last NDP government in the 1990s. In the 1990s, and this is important, Honourable Speaker. The NDP put $5 million into BC Ferries compared to our record level $180 million per year today. 5 to 180. And Honourable Speaker, while only putting $5 million into BC Ferries, fares actually in that 10-year decade that the NDP were in power, fares rose by 70%. And there was nothing to show for it from a capital perspective except for 2 fast ferries which were never used by the public in British Columbia.